Thursday, 6 August 2026. 3 Asia-Pacific AI stories before your first coffee. Meta released Muse code on 5 August, a coding agent that runs unattended in a terminal on macOS and Linux, powered by its Muse Spark 1.2 model. The agent maintains background context across sessions, spawns parallel sub-agents, and resumes after crashes, all at a price point of a few dollars per million tokens. That pricing lands squarely against India's $149 billion IT services segment, where roughly 85% of providers already operate agentic platforms, but still bill clients on effort, meaning headcount hours rather than output delivered. Why it matters? India's IT services giants, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and HCL, have built their margins on labor arbitrage for decades. An agent that codes autonomously at token-level pricing compresses the gap between what a vendor charges per engineer and what the same task costs to run through an AIPI. The immediate pressure falls on mid-tier outsourcers, whose contracts lack outcome-based pricing clauses. Capital allocators should watch whether large Indian providers accelerate the shift from effort-based to output-based billing in their next contract cycles, because the ones that move slowly risk margin erosion as clients benchmark internal automation costs against tools like Muse code. India's AI services subsegment sits at only $10 to $12 billion today, a fraction of the broader tech sector, so the runway for repricing is wide open. So India now assembles roughly a quarter of the world's iPhones, with output hitting about 55 million units in 2025, up 53% year on year. Tata Electronics has overtaken Foxconn on cumulative export value under the smartphone production-linked incentive scheme, posting $26.3 billion against Foxconn's $25.6 billion. iPhone exports from India reached a record 2 trillion rupees in the fiscal year ending March 2026, the final year of that incentive window. Why it matters? India has proven it can scale hardware assembly at pace, but the value chain in electronics has already shifted toward AI silicon that India does not fabricate. Foxconn's AI server work, more than 1,000 racks a week, runs out of Taiwan, not India. Micron's Sanand plant packages and tests wafers made elsewhere, meaning India still has zero volume chip fabrication on its own soil. For capital allocators, the gap between assembly scale and semiconductor capability is the number to watch. India captures labor arbitrage and tariff hedging for Apple, but the higher margin AI infrastructure build-out remains anchored in East Asia. Builders betting on India as a full-stack alternative to China should price in that the silicon layer is missing, and track whether Delhi's upcoming semiconductor incentives close that gap or simply extend the assembly story. Now, Shanghai CXMT surged more than 500% on its 27 July debut and closed the week value at roughly $523 billion, making it the most valuable company on a mainland Chinese exchange. The listing raised at least $8.6 billion for a chipmaker that analysts still place 2 to 3 generations behind SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron in memory technology, with production costs running 20 to 30% higher per bit. Conventional DRAM contract prices are still forecast to climb 58 to 63% quarter-on-quarter in Q2 2026. The valuation signals Beijing's willingness to price strategic self-sufficiency well above commercial parity, but it does not close the gap that Asian AI builders actually feel. CXMT has no commercial high-bandwidth memory line, which is the component in genuine shortage for training and inference accelerators across the region. Buyers in China, Japan, and South Korea who need HBM3E or its successors still depend on SK Hynix and Samsung allocations, and the CXMT listing does nothing to ease that bottleneck. Capital allocators should watch whether the fresh proceeds accelerate an HBM roadmap or simply expand conventional DRAM capacity that already faces oversupply risk. The second-order effect worth tracking: if CXMT devotes capex toward legacy nodes, it could compress margins for other mainland fabs and push consolidation earlier than expected. That is your AIinAsia briefing for today. Stay sharp, build well, see you tomorrow.